So today we have the pleasure of being joined by Jacopo Scarabello, and me and Jacopo have only ever spoken twice before. And there was something in the conversation when me and Jacopo first spoke that made me just think, you know what, I need to speak to this guy more. And here we are arranging a podcast together. So Jacopo, thanks so much for joining us today. And
well, thank you.
I'm really excited to see where this goes. We've got no idea, right? So
yeah, really, me too. Well, thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm looking forward for the kind of conversation we will have today, which will be completely a discovery.
Exactly, and that's the exciting bit, right? So, Jacopo, would you be able to tell people a little bit about who you are and what you're up to?
Yeah, sure. So, who I am is a risk manager and business consultant, and also a business coach and a personal coach. So now I'm focusing more on coaching people and businesses, because everything started when I was an auditor, and so I was consulting businesses. But then I realized that consulting businesses on processes themselves, not looking at who are the people in the process and what they're dealing with in the process, wasn't making any difference. Because if you're saying to someone, so basically, this is the way to do it, but they don't know why they're doing that, there was no point. They were keeping making the same, let's say, mistakes, or they were keeping doing the things the way they think is better to do. And the process were not improving or not covering the risks that we were noticing when we were auditing. So I was like, okay, I want to create something like a method and a way to consult that is more to people and let them understand why they're doing things and why they are important in the process. So I'm shifting. The problem for me right now is allowing the companies to understand the value of what I'm doing, because they want like money and cut costing and cut the risk. And I said, yeah, I do this, but like I'm finance, but I'm also HR in a way. I'm in between.
So you care about money and people. Perfect mix, right?
No, exactly. Yeah, because my background is in finance. My background is in economics. I've studied economics, so I know all of that. And I grew up in my career in all the finance and economics things. But then I realized that I always love how people think and human beings and what's important to them. And that's my why. My why is to give the people the life they want, also when you are at work. So why should you go to work and have a boring life doing something you don't know why you're doing that and see no value what you're doing? And you know why you're doing that. It's more like, oh, I love what I'm doing. I want to do it more and better because I know how important is that I do the things this way.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, like personally, what that's speaking to is, for me, the Holy Grail in my life and helping others achieve as well is really sort of reaching that sweet spot in life where what you do you can't really call it work and you can't really call it play. It's like, it's just what you do, because work implies play and play implies work. But what if it's just what you love doing? What if the idea and the notion of work just disappears because it's just who you are is what you do? And that really speaks to me. I love that.
Yeah, and sometimes I don't understand, maybe it's just me, but I love to work to be fun and have fun. We are spending so much time working. Why work has to be like hard or a pain? If it's not painful, it's not work. It's not written anywhere. Why are we creating the things that it has to be painful to be good work?
This is the model we've become so used to, isn't it? And this is part of what makes work, so to speak, isn't it? And how much of that do you see as being a choice for people? Because in terms of what it is you do, does it really matter what you do, or is it more about how you do it? You know, how much of that fun is a choice and how much of it is dependent on the circumstances?
What I discovered for myself is that it's totally a choice. I mean, it's you can do as a job like moving chairs from a place to another, and it can be the most boring thing you can do in the world. But if you put a meaning on that moving chairs, like I'm moving these chairs because I will make the difference to all the people that are gonna sit on these chairs, then without me, these chairs would have never been in that position, you can transform completely, like from moving chairs to making the difference in the day of someone. So
Sure.
it's definitely on yourself. And you can do like, the funniest job for me would be like have a radio show, which for me would be just, it's impossible to have a boring day having a radio show, but I'm pretty sure you can make it a shit days as well on a TV show, on a radio show, if you don't create the context like, I'm having fun and I love doing this.
Sure, because as well, for me, like, it doesn't matter how much you might enjoy something, if that thing comes into the everyday, the novelty soon wears off,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't matter. Like, for instance, I love making music. And I'm very conscious that once music comes into the everyday, I have to actively introduce processes and ways of being, ways of approaching that keep that fun for me.
Yeah.
And that's all internally generated. It isn't the what I'm doing that is making it fun. It's what I'm bringing to the activity, and that has to be constantly refreshed.
Yeah.
And before, there was an illusion for me that it was what I was doing, because I didn't get enough time, because I was constantly working. I might get to create music just at the weekends, right? And of course, when that comes, it's a novelty, and it's like, oh, I really wish I didn't have to stop now and have to go back to work. So you feel that thing is really drawing you in. It's what you feel you want to do all the time. But you soon see that even the things you think you absolutely love doing, they soon change if you get the opportunity to do them all the time. And it's got really very little, if anything at all, to do with the activity, and more to do with what you bring to it, right?
Yeah.
The whole attitude, and like you say about making work fun. So how do you go about making stuff fun? You know, is it just like what you say, bringing meaning to every activity? You know.
Yeah, in a way, yes. It's more like, well, depends. For me, I reach a point in which I can, let's say, create my fun out of nothing. Like, for instance, the other day, I was going in the office where I'm working now, and I'm like, I don't want to go there. Why I said yes to these people?
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, it's been 2 days now, and how is the experience for you to go there and be like miserable? It's miserable because I'm creating, like, it's miserable for me to be there and do those things and being in that office.
Yeah, and that's
then
your life. That's your life ticking away a second at a time, right?
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
in any case, like, either I make it fun or not, I have to go there and do those things.
Right.
So I was like, okay, today I'm happy. And if people ask me why I'm happy, it's because I choose to be happy. So I get inside there with a smile, say, hello, everyone. I was like, what happened? I just choose to be happy today. And also my productivity completely transformed. Because I was creating and I was there and saying, like, I'm happy, I'm on the phone, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
And you drag people into the space you created, instead of being dragged away, and use every other people to drag you away from being happy.
Absolutely. And I think that happiness and that joy to be alive, once that is there and that joy is being expressed out here with people in the activities that you're doing, it's like, that's infectious. That can enroll people in being that way too, because it's just so much more pleasurable to be around happy people than being around grumpy, resentful people, right? I mean, if that's the workplace that you're going to work in, you'd much rather be working around someone who brings joy to their activity.
Yeah, and actually that's a thing that all the people that work with me are like, it's really cool working with you because you bring a lot of energy. I was like, yes, I have to bring energy, otherwise we are all dead in this room.
And of course, then it's shared and it becomes their energy too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
allowed to be like in a place where there's life, not that people.
Yeah.
And actually, now that you asked me the question, I can, and saying that I'm understanding more also what I'm doing and how to bring it out in a different way. It's really, you need to have a purpose, and the purpose is for yourself. You decide why you're doing this. And that's what I do also when I coach people, when I listen to people, is like, why you're doing this, what's important for you in life in general, and how can you interpret, or let's say convert what's important for you generally in life in the work you're doing. Because if there's a completely, it's a huge mismatch, it's just a waste of time for you.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm doing this for the money. Good, okay, but money comes once a month, and what after the bank transfer? Are you back in feeling miserable? What's the point? there are many other many other ways to get the money, or to
Yeah,
many other jobs that give you money that are more in line to what you want to create for yourself, what you want for
absolutely.
yourself.
And if
What
you are
is
doing it for the money, then okay, well then why do you need the money? You know,
yeah
why is money helpful to you? You know, because money is just a tool, right? Money is
yeah
just a means to allow you, to empower you to do something else in life, right? It isn't
yeah
really the fulfilling factor in anything. As much as people might quite understandably be under the illusion that that's the case, yeah, money allows you to do stuff in life, but it isn't really the driving factor.
no,
We
it's
need to
not.
support
Yeah,
our families. We need to pay the bills. Yeah, but you know, there's a whole bigger reason behind all of that, isn't there? And I love
yeah,
what you say about generating the reason why you're deciding to bring this joy into your every activity, because otherwise it's just like you're just, well, it'd just be like pretending everything's okay when it's not, right?
yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So there's a reason why.
Yeah, and that's also the reason why in my coaching I have like I sort of three corners, three key things that has to be there to get the things you want in life, which for
Uh-huh.
me are the purpose, the leadership, and performance, and can be described in a different way. The purpose is the why, or the context you create for the things you're doing. It could be like your general one, the life purpose, or just the purpose for the task you are uh, or the project you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
And then the leadership is basically the responsibility, owning that it's your responsibility to make it happen.
Right.
And also the responsibility, as we were saying before, like being happy. It's my responsibility for myself to be happy, and create that happiness for myself, and driving all the other people to be happy, instead of giving the responsibility to others for my not being happy, and say,
Sure.
see, they feel miserable, they are miserable, they make me feel miserable. That's giving the responsibility to someone else,
Yeah.
and you don't get what you want in life if you're using others to drive your life. So for
Absolutely.
me, it's very important that responsibility for me is, that's my life and I'm responsible for what I'm doing and what I want to get. I don't want give to others the responsibility of that. And then
I love that.
performance is just taking action.
Yeah.
Because when you have a purpose and you know that you are the one making those things happen, make them happen. And then you get what you want in life. When one of this is missing, it's not working for according to me.
Yeah.
You can have a goal, be very responsible and be in action, but if you don't know the meaning at a certain point, if you don't have a purpose, you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah. And you know what I can see out of that as well? Tell me if this works for you as well. I can see that that kind of feeds back into itself as well, because
Mm-hmm.
you have your why leading into the responsibility, taking responsibility for your feelings and the way you're being, which is then informs your actions, which is the performance. But then without action, you don't get results,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And then those
Yeah.
results can then be fed back into through the filter of why you're doing this. And that's again taking responsibility for how you're perceiving those results, and then feeding that back into what you're going to do next, the next action.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cyclic, circular, and it feeds itself, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why. And that's why I see like all interconnected to each other. And when I talk to people, for coaching, I say to them, I can give you a coaching on all the three of them in the coaching,
Yeah,
or one of them if you already have all the other two,
yeah.
or just two of them. Let's have a
Like,
conversation to see if they are actually present, if the purpose is there, if the responsibility, so the leadership is there, and the performance.
yeah,
Especially responsibility, I think it's something to discuss with people, because every one of us are responsible when we talk.
yeah,
Then when it's time to take action and to really deal with our life, responsibility is kind of faded,
yeah,
because we relate to responsibility as something moral. So if you're responsible, you're good. If you're not responsible, you're bad. Instead, it's just making things work.
yeah,
Responsible means I say something, I do that thing. That's
yeah.
it. If you
Uh-huh.
don't do it, you're not responsible for what you said.
Yeah,
And it's not good or bad, it just doesn't work.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not good or bad. It just doesn't work. It's just a way of being that gets a certain set of results. And if that's not working for you, again, you need to then take responsibility for the fact that it's not
Yeah.
working, and then just go, okay, there's nothing wrong. Let's just choose a different way of being that gets a different set of results. And that's taking responsibility for the feedback that is those results. It's not, there's no such thing as failure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Another thing that I say a lot is also being responsible is not human. Human beings pretend to be responsible, but we would like to have everyone else responsible for our life, and just like, I don't know if you use the same phrase in English, but like washing our hands. It's like not caring about this.
Yeah. Yeah, washing your hands of something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you don't
absolutely.
notice it's something very natural to point other things to be like the cause for our success.
Sure, and it's like that doesn't just refer to our relationships, does it? And how we feel. It refers to our circumstances as well. It's
Yeah.
like we need to take responsibility for how we're responding to our circumstances. And sometimes, you know, it doesn't feel good. Sometimes, you know, we have to just accept that things aren't, you know, ideal, but take responsibility for how we're being in that situation. You know,
Yeah.
there's always, and in that empowerment comes the fulfillment. In the
Yes.
empowerment of making the choice to be responsible, responsible. There you go. There's
Yeah.
it's like being responsible gives you the ability to respond
Yes.
appropriately to the circumstances. And in terms of people disliking what they do for a living, feeling really stuck in a career, I often see that one of the biggest things in people's way of, you know, improving that for themselves is actually how much they dislike or even hate what they do.
Yeah.
Because, you know, what you resist persists, right?
Yeah, definitely. Also because what you resist, it becomes the only thing you can see, so it persists because you don't see the, like, it's 1% of things you're resisting, and you see the 1%, you don't see the 99% that works in your life, and you keep just looking like, see, doesn't work, but look at the rest.
I told you.
Exactly.
I told you I'm right about this.
Yeah, exactly. So no, definitely. And while you were saying that, also I thought about, like, a lot of people are not satisfied about their job and everything, and the thing they say the most is like, have to be responsible for my family, my kids, and I have to have this responsibility. But is it that responsibility, or is it that using an excuse not to take your life really in your hands? And of course it's not easy to change a job, to change career and have an impact on your family, but doing a miserable life just because you have to prove that you are a good man, you're a good woman, a good family member, I don't know.
And something off the back of that, and you know, I'm a father of 2 children myself, and something I became acutely aware of a few years back when I was in a position of really disliking what I was doing for a living and feeling really stuck with that, was that as much as I wanted to tell my children, go and do what you love, go towards to follow your dreams, all that, how could I wasn't in no position to do that because I wasn't doing that myself. And you know, it's not just a matter of being hypocritical or whatever. It's the fact that children don't do what you say. They do what you do.
Yeah.
Monkey see, monkey do, you know. It's like, I realized that what I was teaching my children was that you have to give up 80% of your working life to go and do something you hate in return for money that you're too tired to spend at the end of the week. And, you know, I was using the excuse that I needed to be, because I was sole provider for my family, and I was exactly that. I was using that as an excuse but you know, it was only when I really took responsibility for my own state, for my own sense of being, and the example that I was setting to my children of actually loving my life, that I could actually then start to feel good about encouraging them to follow their dreams, you know, and live a joyful life themselves. So you're absolutely spot on. You're bang on there. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
There's something we touched on in one of our previous conversations, the 2 conversations we've had with each other so far. I know that you mentioned that this notion of living by purpose, living from why, which is obviously, you know, the subject matter of this very podcast, is with our purpose and our why. Sometimes we don't notice it because if we are living within it, everything's just working, everything's going well. And, you know, no news is good news, right? So I find personally, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but I really notice my purpose more when I fall out of alignment with it, because things just go wrong. I feel bad. Life just kind of something's really off. And whenever I check in with myself, it's like, damn, right. I've let myself slip. I've forgotten about why I'm doing this. I'm concentrating more on perhaps the results or the how rather
Yeah.
than the why. Is that your experience as well?
Yeah, I can see for myself and also for people around me or people that I've coached in the past. The thing is, when you lose your context, let's call it, like the reason why you're doing things, you're just taking action, like empty actions, which are just actions. And
Yeah.
when I don't see like the context why I'm doing those things, after a while those action becomes to be boring, or you wonder yourself, are you taking that, why are you spending time doing that
Yeah.
when they're not bringing back anything. And be back in the reason why you're doing this. It's like, oh, now I remember why I'm doing this, and
Uh-huh.
you can bring something into it.
Yeah.
It's uh, let's say in a way is like a machine is doing things because we tell the machine to do things and just repeat the things.
Mm.
We bring meaning to things that we do. If there is no meaning, we are feeling like we are a machine, just like uh, executing things, and we alienate ourselves from the beauty of spending our time of living the life.
Yeah.
And when we are behaving like a machine, it's like I'm wasting my time. I'm
Uh-huh.
doing things that doesn't bring any value to my life, anything. Why I'm doing this? And every day in our life we take action which are meaningless and which are empty, and we are bringing that meaning. So every time we don't put that meaning, they turn back to be what they are, empty, meaningless actions
Yeah.
that we bring in our life. It's very important. I see that as well. Now I'm developing my career as a coach, so I'm developing from scratch, moving completely from corporate to talk to people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to coach people, I want to make the difference to them, but then I'm into like, yeah, but what about the bills? So I'm focused so much on money, and then I realize I'm not taking action. And I see myself like, oh damn, I still have to finish the website, I still have to do this, I have to call that person. Why I didn't do that? What? Because I forget that if I don't do those actions, I cannot fulfill my purpose and I cannot be the person I want to be,
Yeah.
because I see those actions as just something boring that I have to do. So
Yeah.
no meaning,
Yeah.
no actions.
No action. Right. And that's what you were saying is with regards, purpose, leadership, performance, right?
Yeah, and that's another thing that is missing, that responsibility, because I'm not taking the responsibility.
Yeah.
That's what I want to create. No one imposing me to do that thing. It's
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
decision.
You're choosing to create this new life for yourself. And so,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen by itself, right? So,
Exactly. That's
yeah, I
the
love that.
beauty of life, is that uh, we might see how life should be to be perfect, but then when we are in that life, we don't see ourselves, and it's good to either to have a step back and see where we are and where we want to go, or have someone else saying, hey mate, you said you want to be there, but you're very sitting here.
I've had that. I've had that a couple of times from a couple of good friends of mine that have said, Andy, are you okay? Because, a few months back you said you were going to be doing this and you're still not doing that thing. What's going on? And it's quite upsetting, it can be quite upsetting to sort of be confronted with that question, because it brought up for me was that, I wasn't taking responsibility for what I
Yeah.
said I was going to do. And the point is, it wasn't from a moralistic point of view. It was from, here I am creating a life that I'm wanting to create a life that I truly love, where work,
Mhm.
the distinction of work and play disappears. And
Yeah.
I just am doing what I am. I am what I do.
Mm.
And I'm not creating that because I'm caught in this comfortable pattern of allowing my circumstances to dictate what I'm doing, allowing the demands of other people to dictate what it is I prioritize.
Yeah.
And those things can come into play if we allow them, but only really by choice. And we need to realize, I think, that it is a choice to allow your circumstances to affect you. Maybe it serves you to sort of take into account your circumstances and other people's wishes, but
Hmm.
maybe it doesn't. And we need to take responsibility for realizing that is a choice. and even the things that we feel we have to
Mm-hmm.
do we really? You know, I feel that, you know, we do actually have, as you mentioned earlier, choice all of the time, right?
Yeah.
And with purpose, like you were saying, staying in alignment with purpose and not
Yeah.
falling off, you know, realizing that you've kind of slipped out of alignment. Something that was coming up for me there as you were chatting was that what that really takes is a real sense of awareness, isn't it? You have to, each moment by moment, recreate that meaning,
Yeah.
and generate that internally. And that sounds like hard work, but the more that you become aware, the less hard work it is, right? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, the more you're doing that, the easier it is to distinguish when you're not in
Yeah.
that, let's say, space, mood, or way of being.
Yeah.
And it's easier also to just click out and say, okay, I'm not here. Yeah, I know if I'm still like in this situation in which I'm making everybody and everything wrong and not owning what I'm doing and going back to what's the reason why I'm here, I can do it. It's my choice, but I know that I will not uh, produce anything.
Yeah.
Or you say like, okay, that's my purpose. That's what I want to do. I give up on all this nonsense that I have in my head and just move on.
Yeah. Sure.
I don't remember if I shared this with you. When I work by myself, I have like a mirror in front of me. That when I look at the mirror, I see just my face, like complete face. And
Yeah.
when I look at that, I see like the expression I have in my face. If I have like a face that is like seems like I'm pooping, I'm definitely in my head. To look at myself and like say, "Don't be so significant. What's happening?"
Uh-huh. Yeah. Got ya.
And then I just laugh because I see myself with that stupid face, and I'm like, "Okay, there's something in here. Get out of it."
Yeah, it does show, doesn't it? When people are really in their head, and I see it in myself too. It just shows. You can spot a mile off when someone's like, you know, disappeared off into their thinking, can't you?
Yeah. Because
Um,
you're not looking anywhere. You're just like you're numbing yourself to life, I
yeah.
would say.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And yeah, when I discovered that, when you get out of it, it's like, okay, can you be more like be responsible to do what you want to do and to be who you want to be instead of not just being like a sack of meat in front of a computer.
A meat sack. Yeah.
Meat sack, yeah, thank you.
But yeah, just bringing the aliveness back in, right? And it
Yes,
and it
yes,
and it
yes, yes.
and it feels right. It feels good. It feels, you know, and for different people that looks different, right? You're a very lively, animated guy, right?
Yeah,
But to some people, they've got a much more sort of quiet and calm way of bringing that aliveness. But I think for yourself, no matter what your demeanor, no matter what your personality, you know when you're feeling alive and vibrant.
yeah.
You know when you're feeling glad to be alive, and you also know the difference between that and feeling numb, that and feeling dull and uninspired.
Yeah,
And you know,
definitely.
bringing that purpose back into life just brings that aliveness, doesn't it?
Yes, 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 definitely. Another thing that I noticed is that when I look in my face and on the screen, like on the mirror, I'm like, you're such an awesome guy. And I'm like, yes, so I am in in my purpose. Like I'm in my real context. When I see myself as awesome, it means that I'm there.
I mean, you know, why not receive that, right? I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of the time we don't give ourselves acknowledgement for, you
yeah.
know, taking responsibility and performing and making a difference in our lives and the lives of others. And it's like that feels good. And why not just acknowledge that and go, yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
This
and
is going well.
actually,
It's working.
yeah. Exactly. And we make the difference to people every single day of our life. We don't notice. Every people we meet, every encounter we have, we make the difference. We can make a good difference or a bad difference, depends. But
Yeah.
we make for sure the difference. Also, when we fight with our like partner or with friends or stuff, we are making the difference. Maybe not in the way we would like to, but
Mm,
we're making the difference even when we don't want to make the difference. So let's just acknowledge for each other that we are making the difference. And
absolutely.
when we are aligned with our purpose, you can make the difference and drive the world the direction you want to take it.
Right, exactly. Rather
Yeah,
than it just
yeah,
happening by accident, and
exactly.
who knows what will happen because you might be as a victim of your moods or your
Yeah,
emotions.
yeah. Going back to as you said before, being aware. When you are aware of your purpose, you are aware of how your actions are impacting people.
Yeah.
And you know that every action impacts people in a way or another. We are not an island, we're not alone. So even when we don't do something, we have an impact on others. When we isolate or when we withdraw from others, which is a thing that I do sometimes. I'm fed up of stuff. There's an impact if we do something or if we don't do something.
Yeah.
And reminding ourselves, being aware of the purpose, really can drive our actions to the purpose, and making the difference the way we want to make the difference in the world or in people's life or in our life.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I think that's just a brilliant way to round up this conversation. Thanks so much for talking with us today, Jacopo.
No, thank you really for the time.
Oh, really, honestly, it's been great. And we'll definitely speak again if you're up for it.
Yeah, sure.
If people would like to contact you or find out more about what you do, where can they do that?
Okay, so it might be tricky for English speaker to find me, but my website is jacoposcarabello.com, which is my name and surname.com.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can write me an email on coaching@jacoposcarabello.com. So it's coaching@my name and surname.com. But I'm really sure you're going to write down something on a note.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Make sure that all your
yeah,
links put in the show notes, both in the podcast and the videos.
yeah.
So that everybody can contact you. But yeah, thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to leave us with before we go?
The only thing is really live the life you want. A lot of people comes to me and say, I don't know what's my purpose. I don't know what I want in life. Okay, explore that. If you don't know, it could be anything. Just create it. It's beautiful space where to start. You can put anything in there.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, you don't like it, move to something else.
Yeah.
It's like, it maybe wasn't this, it's something else. But start with something instead of just thinking like, I don't know. And define that and live with it. If you don't know, you can call me and we can have a conversation.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, purpose is simply a conversation, isn't it?
It is.
A conversation with life, basically.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It is a conversation.
So
thank you so much.
Thanks again, Jacopo. See you again, yeah?
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.